and final day of our conference on Islam, environmental ethics, and conservation. My name again is Muhammad Khalil. I'm the director of the Muslim Studies program. We're delighted to have you all with us. As I noted yesterday, we are using a webinar format for this conference, which means that those who are presenting, the panelists, the moderators, they can turn on their video and audio. Everyone else can use the Q&A to type in their questions. The reason we did this is to avoid any kind of Zoom bombing, to be frank, and which is something that has happened in the past. If, however, we'd like to ask a question on video, just in the Q&A, please type in that you would like to ask a question on video, and we can promote you to panelist to ask that question. The way this typically works is that folks will present, and at the end we have time for Q&A. The first panel will run from 8 to 9:45 a.m. and it's on Indonesian scholarship on Islam, conservation, and the environment. And then we have the final session will run from 10 to, now it's going to end at 11:25, not 11:45, and that's looking at global case studies, Indonesia, originally Indonesia, Gambia, and Afghanistan, but now it's just Indonesia and Afghanistan because Abdullah Jabang unfortunately could not be here, and our thoughts are with him and his family. And then at 11:25, we'll have time for an open discussion in the last 20 minutes of that, what was supposed to be the fourth panel. And then we will have closing remarks by the two individuals who proposed the conference theme, Dr. David Skoll and Jay Semek. A few things to keep in mind. We will be recording a good number of the presentations. Also, if during the presentations you don't want to see a bunch of boxes with videos, you can just select speaker view. If you move your cursor, if you're on a laptop like me, when I move my cursor, I see view in the top right, and you can select speaker view if you prefer. That's pretty much about it. Let's see, just taking a look here, I see we have at least one panelist. I don't know, let's wait another 2 minutes just to get more panelists here. And so it's now 8:05, so around, let's hold off until at least 8:07 or so before we get started. Why don't we open the floor a little bit? Oh, David, yes.
Sure, I think that's a great idea if other people are on board with that. Because I thought, yeah, I'm David Skoll. I'm one of the kind of co-organizers, although Muhammad is the center.
No.
So yeah, I was watching the discussion at the end of yesterday's session with a lot of interest because I am a scientist and I liked all the talk about me and about us and our profession. I was very interested in what people had to say about these notions about what scientists do and think and all that. And I thought a lot of it was excellent, really stimulating thought, and was very happy. And I had some thoughts of my own on that. And that, one of the things that's always struck me is something that I learned a long time ago, and I can't remember where, but that all of the disciplines that we talk about all the time, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, all this, really the classical perspective is that there are only 4 disciplines. And I was always surprised what they were. They were mathematics, they were history, or science, and the arts, and that these were set up because these are the 4 ways of knowing. Okay, and everything else can be subdivided under that. The scientific method, mathematics has its own method, looking at the taking the historical approach. And of course, the arts is a way of knowing through expression and all that. And so science is kind of merely one of 4 ways of knowing as a discipline, and not necessarily exclusive of those others. I don't know where you put the humanities. It's probably arts and humanities, perhaps. But and so I do believe that science is a is a way of knowing, but in every day it's a profession or a practice. And so some of the discussion yesterday made me wonder whether we were talking about science as a way of knowing, as characteristics and having these features and such that we're talking about, or as it is practiced by the practitioners. And I think most of it is really about how the practitioners do their work. And in fact, science is also, or a scientist, being a scientist is also having a profession. And like many professionals, there are good ones and there are bad ones. There are some that do it because they're committed to the idea and something compelling behind it. And there are some that do it for the money, for the job, etc. And I've always thought that at least you could say all of the great scientists, all the good scientists that I know really do have a strong compassion for trying to understand the natural world. It has driven them to science as much as anything else, is to try to understand it. Now, albeit, as some people said, I think we tend to take a view to look at how the natural world is constructed and operates, the mechanics, as somebody called it, as opposed to necessarily practicing a method of wonder or enchantment with the natural world. But I think many scientists are drawn to the field because of that. And I think it was a very interesting discussion about that from the perspective of mostly folks in this panel from the humanities. And I thought it was really, really, really interesting. But nonetheless, what I also found kind of ironic for me was that when we talk about the four disciplines and we talk about all this, that one thing that is in common between the scientists that we were talking about and those in the arts and humanities that we were talking about is that we're all in the academy, in academe, as opposed to outside the academe, which is also an interesting distinction. And I've always thought that the history of our academy has been interesting. I often say that it hasn't really changed much since the 14th century when the monks set the institution up in the first place. And so, the academy does have this historical connection back to the teachings of faith and understanding faith and trying to understand the context of the natural world. And if you've studied so academe is also kind of connected to that dialogue in some way. And most of us here are all academics in that way. So then the last point was that somebody brought up, there were a number of comments about history and science and ethics. And if you look at the history and philosophy of science, I think, this is just my view, there are a lot of cases in which, the crossover between understanding the natural world through scientific method and understanding the natural world through theology has overlapped. I mean, classic cases that we learn about even as scientists. And for instance, the classic case of the Australian black swans is brought up in ecology all the time in evolution. It was considered that all swans were in the 18th century thought all swans were white, and they had to be white because they're perfect and God would make them perfect, until you observed black swans in Australia. And this upended a lot of thinking, just the observation of something, an artifact. So that's why, the nesting in empiricism is also important to science, looking at things more, not so much mechanically or mechanistically, but empirically. And so I don't know how all that spins over, but I gave me tremendous food for thought. So thank you guys. That was awesome.
Thank you, Professor Scully. That's, it's food for thought, definitely for the closing discussion. But I think Professor Brockett wanted to say something.
Well, only are you Are we going to continue discussing now? I saw a couple of our colleagues have come in now. So
Yes, we do have a couple of colleagues here now. So I was going to begin, maybe start, we could move on to the panel. But if you wanted to say something quick, we could say that now. Or
but just very briefly, 2 points to your comment. One is that the academia, you're definitely right that it was tied in with the church in Europe, but it's a lot older than the 14th century, and the earliest universities are in the south of Europe, where they were in close contact with the universities of the southern Mediterranean, that is to say the Muslim universities. That is a definite crossover, both in places like Salamanca and in Italy. And then, of course, the connection there is with the Byzantine Empire, which is still very much alive as well. So we have a whole Mediterranean culture of learning that continuously goes back. There's no break there. And then the second piece, your example, the Black Swan, is terrific because it shows both how, as you say, empiricism challenges cultural presumptions, but it also shows us how cultural presumptions form empiricism. So the previous to that is that, yes, one assumes this because one assumes that the white race is superior in the 18th century, and so therefore all swans must be white, right? So this cultural knowledge, which is at the basis of how we see the world, also informs what it is that we regard as good and worthy of notice. So these feed into one another is all I would suggest.
absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Well, now we will actually begin the panel on Indonesian scholarship on Islam, conservation, and the environment. And you just heard from one of the two colleagues who proposed the conference theme. Now I'm going to turn it over to the other colleague who proposed the conference theme, and that's Jay Semek, a senior research scientist in the Department of Forestry at Michigan State. So I'll turn it over to you, Jay.
Thank you, Mohammed. So I see that we have 3 of the 5, 6 total that we're looking for Indonesian colleagues as participants in the conference. And since I have a little time, we have 2 of them who are in the first session, and Ibu Karyanti will be in the second session today. The original plan, as everybody knows, was to hold this on campus at MSU. And we had a very exciting week planned for our Indonesian colleagues, which was upended by this dastardly COVID pandemic. And so I'm very appreciative of my Indonesian colleagues for agreeing to participate through Zoom. I'm hoping the other 3 for this morning's sessions will join. And in the order of presentations for this first session, Pak Muhammad Tri Ramdhani would come second. And if it's okay with you, Pak Muhammad, I'll have you go first, since Pak Gatto is not online right now. Is that okay with you? I have no audio from you.
Pak Ramdhani sekarang diajukan.
So I'll let you work on the audio part of it, and let me introduce you, okay? So Muhammad Tri Ramdhani is the first presenter instead of the second today. He holds degrees in Islamic education and Islamic education management. Pak Muhammad is a member of the Islamic faculty of Muhammadiyah University of Palangkaraya in central Kalimantan, which is on the island of Borneo, for those of you thinking in geography in Indonesia. He has several publications focused on education management at the secondary school level, as well as regarding symbolism in the Ngaju Dayak people of central Kalimantan. And today he will present on the role of Islam in the cultural ceremony of the Tiwah Dayak Ngaju people of Central Kalimantan. So I see that his screen has started, and I'm hoping that we can get the audio portion in place.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
There
thank
we
you
go.
very much.
Okay.
Can you see my screen of presentation?
We can, yes. Go ahead and
Okay.
start.
Okay, thank you.
So it looks like now we lost your presentation. It's not showing in the screen.
I'm so sorry. Wait a moment.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for this time. My name Ramdhani. I come from Indonesia in University of Muhammadiyah Palangkaraya. This title is the role of Islam in the culture of Tiwah Ceremony Society of Dayak Ngaju Central of Kalimantan. Okay, the first Central Kalimantan is a province on the island of Kalimantan. The original tribes who inhabits in island of Central Kalimantan are generally the Dayak tribe. This tribe is divided into several ethnic groups, namely Dayak Ngaju, Dayak Manyan, Dayak Lawangan, Dayak Dusun, Dayak Kalimantan, Dayak Danum, Dayak Siang, Dayak Witu, Dayak Katingan, and Dayak Kapuas and another. In each tribe, there are quite a lot of sub-family groups. This has led to a difference in language, tradition, and even religion, including the Dayak Ngaju tribes. At first, the Dayak tribe in Central Kalimantan embraced the Kaharingan religion or Hindu Kaharingan. During its development, there are Dayak people who embrace Christianity and Islam, in addition to those who still adhere to Kaharingan religion. However, the Dayak Ngaju people can live together in one house even though their belief or religion are different. Harmony and tolerance are deeply rooted in their life. So that religious difference do not trigger a break in the brotherhood. This harmony manifests in various secret ceremonies of each religion. One of the religious ceremonies that can be put forward is Tiwah. Apart from being a tradition, Tiwah in Hindu Kaharingan religion is also a funeral ritual. This ceremony is carried out to deliver the spirit of people who have passed away to the land of the spirits called Leutatau Hentuk Pulau. Habusang Hintan, Hakarangan Lamiang. The point is heaven, which is described as a country that is rich, beautiful, and studded with a lot of gold and diamond. In this land, the soul on a longer experience suffering as misery because there is everything in abundance. According to Haringan belief, if the Tiwah ceremony has not or is not carried out, then the spirit of human who have passed away will not be able to reach heaven and cannot return and unite with reigning Hatala Langit, namely God Almighty. Therefore, as a sense of responsibility for the living families to the spirits and to deliver the spirit to heaven, Tiwah become an obligation. This Tiwah ritual is followed by someone of Dayak Ngaju people who are already Muslim. Previously, these Muslims were followers of the Hindu Kaharingan, then converted to religion. Even though they have become adherent of Islam, they are still involved in the religion, in religious ritual they previously practiced without any restriction from their old religion, Hindu Kaharingan. Have they led to negative judgment in the religion they have just embraced? Even though among the growing mainstream Islam understanding that every Muslim is prohibited from confuse his religious practice with other religions or being involved in other religious ritual. This paper seek to qualitative examine what aspects are followed by the Dayak Ngaju Muslim community at the Tiwah ceremony, and what reason have led them to continue to attend the ceremony. The implementation, the first preparation phase. The initial stage in preparation is the gathering of the family to determine who will be the civic, the person in charge and who is the chief executive division of tasks determining the day of implementation and arranging permit to the government. After the above preparation have been agreed over, then the members of the Tiwah ceremony go to the forest looking for the equipment to build balai nyahu is a small hut on stilts made of wood and with a leaf roof, and pasah kanihi and oven stage made of plank or small wooden stick which are neatly arranged together returns rope. One, the procession of reflection of ceremony Tiwah Dayak Ngaju Menenung is a procession of summoning the spirit of Sahur Parapah, namely those who get a task from God, Ranying Hatala Langit, to provide guidance and protect the community from the disturbance of evil spirit. The people who carry out this activity are spiritual fingers. All performers of the Tiwah ceremony and residents of the local village or with local residents. This activity aims to get direction from the an external so that the safety of the members is maintained during the Tiwah. The event went well. The guests who came are happy and in good health. Second, Manawur mampakan sahur procession. After completing the ritual is continue with sahur parapa. At this stage, the offering in the form of their chickens are hung along with their spears and a diamond. Since Basir performed Manawur and Manggantung Sahur. Since then, there has also been Pali for the family of Tiwah members and the general public who witnessed it. It is on this day that the Rohaniwan began their activities according to the agreed schedule. The third, Balian Baramu Paramun. Baramu Paramun is the process of reciting a prayer as a notification to Sangyang Rawing Tempun Talun that the spirit will be delivered to drunk Tiwah. In addition, the prayer is also a request to Sangyang Rawing Tempun Talun so that he can bless the implementation of the ceremony. First, Balian Mangkang Huma and Yubun Gawe. This prayer procession is intended to trace back the Liao spirit, which is in the power of Sangyang Rawing Tempun Telun. The spirit was asked to return to hold a scribe and complete it by holding a Tiwah ceremony so that it could be reunited with Ranying Hatala in Leutatau. In this activity, various predetermined offering were prepared. 5. Nalampas in the implementation. Nalampas is a procession of remove bone from the grave of the deceased. On this day, the organizers of the Tiwah depart for the cemetery in question. Rohaniawan will sprinkle white rice, yellow rice, and brown rice mixed with pig's blood on the grapes. Then slash the mandau, Kalimantan Yubon, into the grape. After that, grape began to be dug and roars were opened to remove all the bones. 6. Mandau Malawas, Balian Sangyang Bagawi Sandung. In this procession, there are activities of Balian, prayer reading, washing of the Sandung, and gratitude for the completion of the making of the Sandung, which will be used to store the bond during Nyakean, inserting the bonds into the Sandung. The culture is one of the legacies given by ancient and extor to be preserved, as well as a way of life that developed and is shared by a group of people and is passed down from generation to generation. It's made up of many complex elements, including religious and political system, custom, language, tools, clothing, building, and work of art. Custom of Tiwah ceremony. The Tiwah ceremony is a tradition of the Ngaju community at a deed ceremony, which is usually held for someone who was dead and been buried for so long that it is estimated that only the bones are left from the body. The bones will later be fortified and moved from the grave to a place called sandung, a kind of small house that is specially made for those who have died. This ritual is not only intended to deliver spirit bodies to heaven, it also aims as a procession for the Dayak Ngaju tribes to release rutans or bad luck for the family of the deceased who are lived from the bad influence that hit. How to Islamic religion? How the role Islam is a religion that Rahmatan lil alamin teaches to always respect what anyone does in order to avoid disputes between people, especially in religion, that the context in the culture, in the view of Islam, in called tradition carried out by a person or a group of people. Islam is actually more than just a religious system. Islam is a complete culture. The last this was state his famous book with the Islam. Many Islamic experts from Western circle have also given similar recognition. If the West gives more or less the same recognition, it's said that from the Muslim community itself, such as the general belief that developed among Muslims that Islam is a universal and comprehensive religion covering various fields. Moreover, Islam is also called a religion that is present everywhere. A view that believes that everywhere the presence of Islam always provides the correct ethical guidelines for every human action. Such Islamic teaching has encouraged its people to exert all their power and effort for the good and welfare of mankind, including in culture development. These efforts then have resulted in a new high civilization achievement known as Islamic civilization, which historically has contributed significantly to the progress of world civilization. The verses of the Quran do indeed provide encouragement to mankind for culture development. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry because I can speaking English very well. I can help to translate in Bu Siti Maimunah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Muhammad Tri Ramdhani. That was excellent. In order to conserve time, we'll move directly to the first presentation. I see that Pak Gatot is online, so I hope he's ready to present his, and I'll introduce him right now. Dr. Gatto Tsupangat is the head of the Community Service Publication and Research Board, as well as lecturer at the University Muhammadiyah in Yogyakarta. He holds a PhD in environmental science from University Gadjah Mada, a master's degree in agrobiotechnology, also from University Gadjah Mada. And among several courses he teaches, there are two that stand out in my mind for this particular conference. He teaches a course on agricultural cultivation in perspective of Al-Quran, and a course on climate in the perspective of Al-Quran. Dr. Gatot serves in key positions as a member on several environmental councils and boards, as well as on the Advisory Council of Interfaith Rainforest Initiatives in Indonesia. It is a pleasure for me to welcome Dr. Gatto, who will present on Muhammadiyah's perspective on environmental management and protection sustainability. Do you want me, you'll have to unmute your microphone, and then do you want me to?
Okay, thank you, Pak Jay.
Pak Gatto, do you want me to share your slide deck?
Okay, yes.
Let me do that.
Okay, I will share my material presentation. I hope I'm patient.
You want to share it or you want me to?
Yes. Okay.
You will, okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, you just tell me when to advance. Tell me when
you
to
have me?
advance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Jay.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Good night and good evening in Indonesia, and good morning in Michigan State University. My name is Gatto Tsupangat. I'm from Muhammadiyah Environment Council. I'm secretary, and then I am a lecturer in agrotechnology, agriculture faculty, Universitas Muhammadiyah, Yogyakarta. I will present title Muhammadiyah Perspective on Environmental Management and Protection Sustainability. Next one. I'm sorry, Muhammadiyah have higher education, around 166. One of higher education, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta and Universitas Muhammadiyah Palangkaraya. Next. I will presentation by disaster illustration, because I think disaster can be phenomenon of environmental damage. So if we can could manage environment or protection, so automatically decrease disaster risk. We can see this table: flooding, landslide, there's exit 800 incident. There's total until September incident disaster 2,127. Next. The other phenomenon, environmental damage, silting of rivers and lakes, water scarcity, water and air pollution, global warming, climate change, decreasing of biodiversity. And decreasing of biodiversity, outbreaks of animal and human disease, as well as food scarcity, the others. This is the impact of unbalanced and damage to the physical and non-physical environment on the Earth's surface. such phenomena and incidents are rooted in human behavior toward nature and its environment. Human behavior that is wrong and not responsible for nature causes environment damage. All of this not only impact of the cycle of natural change, but the result of the action and manipulation of human hand. Quran Surah Ar-Rum, verse 41. Doharo fasadu fibari wal bahri bima kasabat aidinas. Next. The various effort to save environment have indeed been made by the government and society. However, the effort that have been made throughout the making laws and regulation and with a technical approach have not brought many results. Effort to overcome the current environmental crisis seem to require a new approach by changing fundamentally and radically the way of view, our mindset, and human behavior. The need a new approach. The perspective behavior of human environment cannot be changed by the application of technology regulation alone. A new theological and cultural approach is needed. Islam is a religion that views the environment as an inseparable part of one fits in a God. In Islam, protecting nature and preserving the environment is the same as protecting and preserving life in nature, and the law is obligatory. Islam is a religion that very concerned about environment, eco-friendly. Next, Muhammadiyah very concerned is environmental disease, environmental damage. Muhammadiyah movement, based on the concern and thoughts above, Muhammadiyah is determined to be actively involved in the movement to save the environment as a firm responsibility as a caliph on earth. Quran Al-Baqarah verse 30. Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ardh. Ini ja'ilun fil ardi khalifah. The dakwah movement, amar ma'ruf, nafi mungkar, and an effort to prosper the earth and the universe. Quran Surah Hud, verse 61. Next, yes. The vision Muhammadiyah movement, the realization of environmentally friendly awareness and behavior among the people, especially Muhammadiyah members, as a manifestation of the Amar Ma'ruf, Nahi and Anahi Munkar, principles toward the true Islamic community. The next mission. The next slide. Mission of Muhammadiyah movement. Number one, compiling guidance, but principle and technical as reference and effort to save the environment as a form of Islamic information in the field of environment through proportionally study and service activities. Number two, intensifying raising awareness and environmentally friendly behavior in various models of environmental preserving action by building an environmentally awareness movement system through training, education, and preaching, campaigning to the community in the context of increasing public awareness and concern for environmental problem. And mission 3, developing environmental education program in order to build environmental awareness and behavior at all level and organizational lines so that Muhammadiyah becomes a forerunner in the environmental movement. Mission 4, increasing the capacity of human resources, institution, and network of Muhammadiyah in building understanding, advocacy, and environmental rescue movement, as well as the making and implementation of equitable and sustainable environmental policies. Mission 5, intensify cooperation with various institutions, but government and private and with civil society in saving the environment and developing sustainable development. Next. For implementation of mission, we make a work plan. I think environmental damage caused by behavior human, and behavior human depend on the way of view or mindset. This frame, we can see the frame. Environmental education. Environmental education is the method for improvement or protection environment. We divide program. We divide program that is conceptual and that is practice. This is conceptual, consists of school of environment or green school, and then book publishing and practical guide. A book, there are book published such as theological environment, and then moral environment, and educational environment. That is practice. Environmental care movement consists of earth conditioning area, Muhammadiyah green area. The garbage sodakoh sampah, sodakoh movement, sodakoh sampah. And then save water, energy, and alim movement. Alim movement in Indonesian language, audit lingkungan mandiri Muhammadiyah. Muhammadiyah self audit, environment audit. The next. We make program group, we do approach socialization, focus on understanding, education, focus on change in attitude and behavior. Advocacy, number 3, advocacy, focus on building commitment. Yes. Please, next. Yes. Especially the advocacy, integrated advocacy strategy, and grassroots, do consolidation, mobilization, facilitation, networking, public pressure, protest, strike. This is a repressive group. And then number 2, bureaucracy level, communication and negotiation for changing a policy. This is a persuasive method. And structural level, legal standing, class action, or legal drafting. Next. This is role of Muhammadiyah for environment conservation. We know environment harmonization, or the concept of natural equilibrium system. We can open Ar-Rahman, verse 19 until 20, and Al-Mulk, verses 3 until 4. The environmental damage caused by behavior, and behavior depend on the view of way, and then number 1, immanential and transcendental. That is, immanential is human and environment that is in one, and then transcendental, human and environment divided. The view of way, immanential, produce exploration. Exploration is proportional, that's optimum. This is, we can open Al-Baqarah 29 and Al-A'raf 21. And then transcendental, view of transcendental, produce of behavior, exploitative behavior. This cause environmental damage, sustainable. Muhammadiyah initiative for strengthening of policy advocacy, because environmental damage caused by government by a law instrument, produce law enforcement product, and then entrepreneur or industrialist. Next. We can I say a contribution, some contribution of Muhammadiyah, especially of Muhammadiyah Environment Council South Kalimantan. And number 1, establishment of environmental caucus in DPRD. Construction of the proposed Mungku Rehabilitation Center. And number 3, regional regulation of South Kalimantan Province. Number 2, about concerning Center for Environmental Research. And regional regulation South Kalimantan. Number 4, concerning the Green Revolution Movement. And number 5, regional regulation about on waste management. And number 6, regional regulation concerning management of local genetic resources. And number 7, regional regulation about concerning critical land rehabilitation. And number 8, regional regulation about pit land restoration. The next. This is experience of Muhammadiyah and a judicial review. But has conducted a judicial review of the oil and gas and water resources. Next. There is Muhammadiyah Green Movement toward development of independent paper forests. Under the name Muhammadiyah Green Conditional Area at Anjir Muara Barito, Regency, Kuala South Kalimantan, and that's mangrove, especially mangrove, and Sorong Regency Biodiversity Center. Maybe the next time, please, brother and sister, and Pak Jai, please, we can visit to at Anjir Muara Barito Regency, a beautiful place. Please, next. The Biodiversity and Universitas Muhammadiyah Sorong, West Papua, that in around 68 hectare. Okay. This is motto Muhammadiyah Environment Council, motto for Muhammadiyah movement: cool and comfortable earth for a safe and peaceful future generation. Next. Thank you for your attention, Pak J and brother and sister, all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Great, thank you, Pak Gatot. That was great. I really appreciate that presentation and you being able to join us today. We'll move directly into the third presentation, which is from Ibu Siti Maimunah. I'll do a quick introduction. She is a very close friend of mine, and I have worked with her now for 5 or 6 years on several projects in Indonesia. Ibu Siti is a researcher and senior lecturer at the Institut Pertanian Stiper in Yogyakarta. She holds a master's degree in forestry from Gadjah Mada University and is pursuing a PhD in forestry under a joint program between Gadjah Mada University and Leiden University, the Netherlands. She is the former dean of the Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry at Muhammadiyah University in Palangkaraya. She is a tireless promoter of forest health and community forestry in Indonesia. She is the 2019 recipient of the very prestigious Kalpataru Award from the Indonesian Ministry of Environment and Forestry, as well as the 2019 FAO Champion of the Forest Award. Today, she will present on the role of Islam in developing a forest case study in Mungku Baru, Palangkaraya. And I will pass it on to you, Ibu Siti. Do you want me to share your slide deck? You'll have to unmute.
Okay. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to East Lansing and selamat malam untuk teman-teman di Indonesia. Okay, thank you, Pak Jai.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Siti Maimunah. I'm a forest and environmental conservation activist, and I have a lot of field activities and a lot of assistance for community around the forest. One of the successes I want to share at this conference is the Mungku Baru Forest. This is a success story of the Mungku Baru Forest in Palangkaraya. Next, Pak J. This is the two experience, the great experience of me about champion of Asia Pacific Forest. This is I have a relation for two picture about champion Asia Pacific. I get it with Mr. Jai Samek. Thank you so much for from Michigan State University who nominated me, and one again for invitation letter from Muslim Studies Program Michigan State University in this night. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Muhammad. Okay, Mungku Baru about harmony and peace. It is a remote village in Palangkaraya of central Kalimantan, where the majority of the population is Christian, 99%, and is devout to worship. The community manages the forest with the Hindu Kaharingan, the Hindu Kaharingan religious belief to conserve communal forest, and I assisted in the forest management as a Muslim who was initially rejected because it was considered to be influencing them, and is not now well accepted in their community because I have proven my sincerity to serve the environment. Next. This is the Mungku Baru Forest. Mungku Baru Forest is a primary forest with some damage section caused by wildlife hunting, illegal mining, illegal logging, and forest fire. The effective solution to solve this problem involve many activities through forest community approach programs plus forest rehabilitation. Specific activities also include peatland area management to protect and enhance the area. Next, Pak. The grade of Mungku Baru Forest. How about the Mungku Baru Forest? Mungku Baru Forest is the highest bird diversity on the island of Borneo. And Mungku Baru Forest is the forest with various type of lowland forest, pit swamp forest, heath forest, and pit swamp forest. The original habitat of orangutan and 7 other rare species, and the diversity of traditional medicine plant and non-timber forest product, and the habitat for commercial wood that is already rare, such as ironwood, bangkire, and ramin. Next. This is the description of the biodiversity in Mungku Baru, like Nepenthes, the pitcher plant, orchid, mushroom, and then this the big one is the crewing, the Dipterocarpaceae trees is the popular one of the species of timber in Kalimantan, the wood trees in Kalimantan. And next. And then the biodiversity of the fauna of the wildlife, like orangutan, tarsius, sotil macaca, and bird. and very the big biodiversity in this area. Next, and we have non-timber forest product in this area like nyato, damar like the Agathis purniensis, and we can find the resin of the Sorea, and this is the traditional medicines. Next. How about the forest disturbance? Mercury pollution from the community gold mining and the ex-mining area is expanding, and it will take a long time for restoration, and the forest is lost, extinct animal, the water source dries up, smoke and forest fire as an easy way to clear land by unscrupulous people. This is the description about the forest disturbance, like the burning, forest burning, wildlife hunting, illegal mining, and very damage, very destroying forests. Next. Why do community destroy the forest? We must know about the why do community destroy the forest. The community have many activity in this forest about to get the necessity of the life, both clothing, food, and shelter, and about lifestyle begin to change to consumerism, to getting to know modern life, and begin to take the land and sell or distribute it to all his relatives. Getting to know drugs, and they don't have the expertise or education, so they only rely to on natural resource to be exploited, and no one care to protect nature. They need assistance. Next. Islam and conservation. Islam is a religion that teaches peace and love of nature. In Islam, it is a talk that humans are leader on earth. Humans are a Khalifah on earth who hold the highest authority on earth. Al-Baqarah 30 and An-Nur 55. We must protect the earth from natural damage so that the life on earth lasts longer, and work properly in managing the earth so that nature is sustainable. Next. This is the forest and human. Forest for life longer. Next. This is my activity. And this is the community assistance that I do in this forest. I have many activity in the forest, not only in Mungku Baru, but this one is the sample, the good sample from Mungku Baru is the Muhammadiyah University activities. The community need to education. Previous, Pak Jay. Education, the community help me about the to education the forest, to helping me for the researchers deliver ecosystem service to local communities through collaborative and sustainability forest management. This is for vision and mission about our activity to bring into reality for education forest information in international forum, and all of activities for science utilities, benefit value for university and communities with a sustainable forest management. Next. How about the sustainable forest management in Mungku Baru? The forest management must not only be ecological sustainable, but must also provide benefit to the local community, because if neighboring community feel that they derive a benefit from the forest, they will be more incentivized to protect it. Next. This is the multi-site for researchers about biodiversity, about non-timber forest product, and how about to forest patrol with student and with community. Next. The communities around the forest then become forest tour. If able to increase their economic gain without damaging the forest, for example, harvesting non-timber forest product, working as ecotourism guides, participating in research activity, and conducting forest patrol. This is the cooperation linked for the forest education forest of Muhammadiyah University that I get some foundation and from international and Indonesia for to develop, to establish the education forest last time. Next. We have some program for the community about livelihood training too, about non-timber forest product, about the ecotourism management, and about the traditional forest in Mungku Baru. Next. This is about the protection based on communities, about the community participation to protect the forest, about fire, about illegal logging, illegal mining around the forest and around the village. We collaborative with community, and we have many activities for protecting the traditional forest. The traditional forest is the traditional forest, the communal forest that the community managing the forest. The traditional forest is near the education forest of Muhammadiyah Palangkaraya University Forest, and we collaborated with multi-stakeholder to get some supporting funding or supporting about the knowledge to community to manage their forest. Next. We have the USAID collaboration since 2013 with visiting to the Michigan State University last year. I have go to East Lansing for third experience for from USAID and from VIPP, visiting international professional program, and for coordinate the program for the visiting international professional program. And this picture is with Embassy of United States United States America in Indonesia, and then we have a ceremony for the award from USAID IFAC last time, and this is in Michigan State University. Next. This is international event for develop our education forest for Muhammadiyah University of Palangkaraya to presenting our research result with University of Exeter in UK, with Peat Restoration Agency of Indonesia in COP22, in Korea for Asia Pacific Forestry Week last year, and Yale University for forest fire. Next. We have a smart action for the collaboration. About the smart action for collaboration, how to establish the forest, how to make successful the forest is we have 5 points. How to make world scientists interested in visiting, how local people depend on the forest for their livelihood and remain sustainable, how to build the commitment with the community, how to make people believe we are friends despite difference in beliefs, the religious, and how to hold the community together. Conclusion, the community around the forest need food and necessity of the life, which must be given an understanding of conservation for the longer life of human on earth, and effort to protect the forest cannot be done alone, but we must collaborate from various ethnic groups, religions, social status, and skin colors. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ibu Siti.
Welcome, Pak Jai.
Very much appreciate that. We'll move on to the fourth presentation. I think Pak Atus is still here. Yes, good. Okay, so let me introduce you, Pak Atus. Atus Syahbudin is a lecturer in the Faculty of Forestry, the Department of Silviculture at Gadjah Mada University. He holds a PhD in bioresource production science from Ehime University in Japan and a master's degree in agriculture from the same university. Pak Atus has several publications related, of course, to silviculture, his primary area, but he's also held professional leadership positions in several civic and religious organizations. And today he will present on the theme, is there an Islamic tree species? Go ahead, Pak Atus. And I don't have your presentation, so I would let you share yours yourself. Great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. J, my brother and sister in US and surrounding, and also my brother and sister in Southeast Asia. Good evening here. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'd like to share my experience. This is, I think, an interesting issue in Indonesia last year and this year. And this has become the title, is there an Islamic tree species? As a background, this is from the Twitter and then captured by the magazine, online magazine, and published by an artist, popular artist in Indonesia. And this is in Indonesia, but this is debatable song. We discuss about Indonesian song. The title is Naik ke Puncak Gunung. In English is Climb to the top of the mountain. And within the song, and there is a sentence, banyak pohon cemara. There are a lot of casuarina trees. And we know that casuarina is popular a Christmas trees. So in this case, the speaker said that please don't sing this song because there is a symbol of Christian, that is a Christmas trees. So we have the problem about the religious broadcast from the trees. Maybe in the trees morphology, or maybe tree architecture, because the problem maybe come from the canopy, the tree's canopy. The canopy form a triangle. So this is a symbol for Christian, maybe like that. And if we said that this tree, because of the triangles, the canopy of triangles, we also record that some species like genus of Araucaria, genus of Tuja, genus of Adas casuarina, also Cupressus, Cypress, and others. This is common use for Christmas tree. But in Indonesia, we also has pines like Pinus mercusii, and then also Agathis damara. The canopy also triangles. So the problem about the canopy form or about the tree architecture or others. So this is like symbol and religious broadcast. Another issue is about the Islamic food. Yes, this is in July this year. So this is come from the Facebook about the traditional Javanese snack with date palm. So the people post this picture, said this, please come to buy our date and don't buy this Javanese snack because this is not Islamic. This is not Islamic, and the date is Islamic. Please buy the dates. So this is also the issue. So we discuss about the religion broadcast come from maybe native food versus halal ingredients. And some people said that maybe this is also about false flag. Another issues, Islamic University, here one Islamic University in South Sulawesi plant some date palms, and when they plant this species, is it Islamic tree species? Why they don't plant indigenous species come from South Sulawesi? Because we know that Sulawesi is located in the Wolossi region, the most endemic place in the world. Maybe the university is Islamic University, but please see here, this is Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta. They plant the mascot of Yogyakarta. This mascot come from indigenous species of Yogyakarta, Stelocarpocarpus burahol trees. And these trees come from the era of Islamic Mataram Kingdom, and this is the tree, and the fruit, and the flower, and the fruit, and then continue until now. So still sustain until now, and from 2016, the province of Yogyakarta sent an application to UNESCO about the philosophical access of Yogyakarta. This access come from the Tugu monument to some location in the city of Yogyakarta. And in these lines, the first kingdom said that please plant some species in this line. So even though this Islamic Mataram kingdom, the king asked to plant some species that not come from the the Islamic tree species, but come from the indigenous species. So I try to know the three species according to Al-Quran. So mentioned by Quran first, because like in this Quran, An-Nisa 15:9, farudduhu ilallahi wa rasuli. So please check in the Quran and also in the Hadith. But I'm sorry, in this research, I just checked in the Al-Quran. We use two methods. The first one is study of literature on Tafsir Ibnu Katsir, and the second one is we try to study the meaning of Al-Quran in Islamic boarding school of Ali Barokah. And the speaker, they read the Quran and read, then explain in Indonesian language, so more easy to understand. And we record the name of the three species and the explanation of the species. This is the result. We record some species, and about three species is a tree, such as date palm trees, Chinese apple, clampis, then common fig, cotton tree, zakum tree, and olive tree. And others is herb and shrub. And according to this information, we know that date palm have many recording in the Quran, and also yakum tree, and another species just one or two recorded. Now we check the date palm. Poinic dactylifera. From these three species, we know that the Quran mentioned about the fruit and very detailed, like I indicate with the red box, and also mention the stem, the trunk, and then also endocarps. This is very like skin in the fruit, and this is very small, transparent, but mentioned by Quran. And also wet fruit, not only dry fruit, but also wet fruit. So why the Indonesian people now sometimes compare something with kurma, with date palm, maybe because this species many times mentioned by Quran first. So the people know this species more than other species in Quran. And the second reason maybe this species has fruit, and this is edible sweet fruit. So if we can plant in Indonesia, then they grow and have fruit. This species like a common fruit in Indonesia. We also has a dragon fruit come from China. So because have a sweet fruit, that's okay. The Indonesian people plant it. So now it become a business here. They plant in a large plantation, and they also produce the fruit for business. And this is one example. They also plant the date palm in front of the mosque. We predict that the Indonesian people, when they go to Umrah or Hajj in Middle East, they know that the mosque is close to this species. So maybe they'll copy the condition in front of the mosque in Indonesia, so they can do praying more serious, more better than without this tree, maybe like that. But in other side, the situation also, some people use this issue on the increase of plantation of date palms become like illegal infestation. So they make announcement to collect the money of the Indonesian people, then and they don't have the land for planting this date palm, so like illegal infestation. So now we also discuss other species. This is a casuarina. Casuarina now in the southern coast of Yogyakarta is common. Because the species is for coastal area. This is the distribution we can see here in Australia in the coastal area also. And during dry season, because this is sandy area, many species fall down. Many species, deciduous forest, they have no leaves, except the species. So when the local people now like to plant the species because adaptable in this coastal area with sandy land, strong wind, hot weather, and others. So they use to plant in the coastal, and then also in the market, in the tourism area, in the parking bus, and also in the village. So they plant it everywhere in the coastal area. But we know that if we said that this is Christmas tree, so this is Christmas tree, why they plant it? If they said that the casuarina is Christmas tree, but because of this is now many benefits. We can say in the corner here, many benefits come from this casuarina trees. So sometimes we said that it is better to plant compared than not to plant. That's okay, Christmas tree. That's okay, casuarina tree. Now we also say about Jewish tree, gorkot. Yeah. Our messenger said that in the hadith. I'm sorry, we limited this research in Quran, but this is just one slide as comparison. The messenger said that in hadith about the Jewish tree is gorkot. This is the picture. So why now the Jewish plant many gorkot in the Israel? So they plant many, and because in the next time during the war between Islam and Jewish, this tree will protect the Jewish, and they don't say about the extension of Jewish. But on the other hand, in hadith also, the messenger said that indeed among the trees there is a tree. The parable is like a Muslim, it is a dead palm. So according to this hadith, we know that Muslim is dead palm and Jewish is gorkot tree. So the conclusion is, number one, there are 7 tree species mentioned by Quran verse: dead palm, Chinese apple, calampis, common fig, olive, cotton tree, and zakum tree. And the second one is we need to consider ecologically and economically for planting tree species. Thank you very much, Mr. J, for this opportunity. I'm very happy. This is first time to present with you as a brother and sister. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Atus. And we have one more. Mohammed, is that okay that we squeeze in the last one?
Yes.
Okay, and I think Pak Ariyadi is here, so that's great. Pak Ariyadi, let me introduce you first. It's our final presenter for this morning's session. He is a lecturer and the chair of the Islamic Law Study Program at the Islamic Faculty of Muhammadiyah University in Palangkaraya in central Kalimantan. Pak Ariyadi holds a degree in Islamic economic law and is a member of the Indonesian Law Association. He is presenting today.
Thank you.
He's presenting today on religion, forest conservation, and the concept of Rahmatan lil alamin. I'll pass it on to you, Pak Ariyadi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat malam waktu Indonesia. Okay, I want to present about my slide. reason first conservation and concept Rahmatan lil alamin. Okay. We know about global warming, ozone, and the others, pollution and forest logging. This is very important in our life. Concept Rahmatan lil alamin from Islam. This is environmental fiqh is Islamic provision that are derived from the third argument about human behavior towards that environment in order to cut with and keep that away. The argumentation of environmental fiqh. Number one, understanding of religion at this time is no longer concerned with spiritual issue, but also must move to the real aspect of the community, how add to it in this case concern for the environmental. Second, the purpose of human creatures is to the worship and be a religion on earth. Thus, to implemental destruction in the study of usul fiqh, when we are forbidden from the something is meant, we are ordered to do outriver. Example, if we are prohibited from destroying nature, we are ordered to the nature to preserve nature. Allah has said in the Holy Book in Surah Al-A'raf. The role of Islam in preservation. Islam as a religion that not only regulation between human and theirs, but also the relationship between human. Because this is implemental presentation in the Al-Quran. We can see in Surah Al-A'raf, Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Ibrahim, Surah Al-An'am, and Surah As-Su'ara. Effort in knowing maqasid syariah, textual effort, and contextual effort. Nah, implementation of environmental fiqh. This is of the maqasid syariah. Now, in this case, referring to the formulation of the object into 5 things. Number 1, hifdzuddin. Number 2, hifdzun nafs. Number 3, hifdzul aql. Number 4, hifdzun nas. And number 5, hifdzul mal. My conclusion Hello.
Hello.
That's
Okay.
great, Ariyadi.
Uh,
Yeah, and we can all read the English very clearly on your slides. So this will be helpful since it's recorded, and if people want to go back and review the key points of your presentation. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay. Thank you to our entire panel. We really appreciate it. Unfortunately, we are actually out of time for this panel. So what we'll do is we'll take a little break. During this break, if you'd like to ask any questions to the panelists, feel free to do so if they're willing to stick around a little bit. We also have a Q&A. Those of you who are attendees, if you'd like to ask a question in the Q&A, you can indicate this by typing it out. We'll take about 13-minute break. So we will come back at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So actually 12-minute break, excuse me. And again, feel free to have informal conversation. I'm going to actually step away myself for a few minutes. Thank you.
So thank you to all my Indonesian colleagues for participating. And I know we have one more Indonesian presentation, Ibu Karyanti, coming in the last session. I thought they were really excellent presentations. And it looks like there's a question from Jonathan. So go ahead, Jonathan.
Yes, so I was fascinated by these presentations, and I want to thank you all so much, both for your presentation, but also for your work. This is tremendously important, and I just want to say great job. So thank you for that. But I have a question about wild areas. So a couple of you talked about sustainable development, and particularly I was fascinated by this idea that between the immanential and the transcendental relationship. And I'm sorry, this is Professor Supangkat, is that correct? And how one leads to exploitation and damage, and the other leads more to exploration and sustainable development. My question is, does it have to lead to sustainable development, or could this immanential sense of the word lead to a preservation of areas as wild, as without human involvement? And this is also, I think, for Siti Maimunah, because some of your work with forests suggests that element of the wild, of the forest for its own sake. And we were talking earlier yesterday about the relationship between creation and the creator does not require the human being in there, that they have their purpose because of their relationship with the creator, not necessarily through the human being. Thank you very much.
So Pak Gatot, would you like to have a shot at answering that? Trying to get my Zoom back here. Pak Gatot, are you available? Did you hear that question? I'm going to share that presentation, particularly that
Please,
slide.
may ask that question, please, chat.
Sure. So I think what Dr. Brockup was asking was, in this slide here, where you talk about transcendental and immanential,
okay,
the flow of transcendental leads to environmental damage, where the immanential leads to a sustainable environment.
Yes.
And I'm paraphrasing if I got it all correct, Dr. Brockup, but is that could transcendental lead to a sustainable environment, or could immanential lead towards potentially environmentally damaged areas?
No, my question, so thank you for the slide.
Yeah.
So my question is, can the immanential lead not to sustainable environment, but to wild areas?
Thank you.
So areas without human involvement.
Oh, okay. Thank you. This the way of view of mindset, because the environmental damage caused by the view, yeah, the behavior, and the behavior depend on the way of view. That is immanential view. The immanential view said human and environment, human subset environment, all human be a component environment. So while environmental damage of course, human and I'm sorry. Of course, I'm sorry. The environmental damage of course to human too damage. This is 6. And then immanential, that's produce of behavior produce exploration. It is only exploration, not offer, yes, not offer take resources and environment. And then Al-Baqarah 29. Al-Baqarah 29 is the Allah create the earth and sky for welfare, human welfare. And as Al-A'raf wa kulu wasrobu wala tusrif. And then please, it's human, please you takes resources, but not offer. And then perhaps produce make a sustainable environment area, and then everywhere. Okay. Please, your sorry. You can your question. Please you write in chat. Okay.
Maybe type it in the Q&A. And so does it start with the premise of the idea that humans are part of nature? And so the concept of wildness doesn't necessarily exist because because humans are part of the environment by itself. There is no wild without that doesn't involve humans.
Pardon. I'm sorry, but because there's a problem as my hair.
No problem. And yes. Ibu Siti, did you want to also try to answer or provide some feedback to Jonathan's question?
What is the question of Pak Jonathan?
I'll let you ask again.
Please help Pak Jai.
So my interest is whether when we're talking about forests,
Mhm.
particularly, whether they have to go to sustainable development, whether there is an understanding within your view that care for the forest can be for the forest's own sake, not for human use of the forest, but for the forest itself.
Okay. We to educate the community about the sustainable forest management is about we can to use anything from the forest, but with sustainable acts, I think. And we can cutting the tree, but we must to plant the tree again. And something like that, we must to educate the community about this. It's okay? Pak Jai, maybe?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, Lauren.
I had a question for Siti Maimunah as well. In your presentation, you mentioned that initially when you came to work, people were skeptical or didn't trust you at first. And you also discussed how important building the relationship and trust with the local community is. So I'm just curious, how you actually developed that over time. What changed, or how did you build those relationships?
Okay, Pak. Okay, Pak Jai. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. We must live in the community for a long time. I think we must we must know about the community need. We must know how about the community and how about the activities of the community, and then we must to link our their problem, their necessity for to make some activities about the sustainable forest, about how to get something from the forest and how to conserve the forest, and how to save the anything the sustainable forest in their forest. And we must we must live with them in the village, in the remote area, I think, in the forest, to know about them. And if we know them, we can to conclude the something or anything they need, and we must to make a list about what they need and what can we do for the forest and for the save the forest.
Thank you so much.